Over the past 3 years, Hong Kong has taken a series of initiatives related to digital assets and the digitalization of finance. To discuss the measures taken and what lies ahead, I'm joined by Chris Hui, Hong Kong Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. Our question to you is that what's the rationale for this very proactive approach to regulating and developing digital assets in Hong Kong?
If you recall, 3 years ago, back in the year 2022, we issued the first policy statement regarding our approach to grow the virtual asset sector in Hong Kong. What we see is that on the one hand, this is sector going to stay. At the same time, there are international regulatory developments, like for example, in the context of G20, and also at the same time, Financial Stability Board, where we need to have regulations around this sector. 3 years from now, you can see that we already have come a long way in terms of having 11 digital asset exchanges. At the same time, with ETFs, with digital assets either in the spot or the future space as underlying. And also at the same time, if you look at how this sector is going to grow, there are a number of key regulatory pieces that we need to put together. Apart from the exchanges that we have already started to regulate 3 years ago, and we have 11 of them, as I said, we have just passed legislation to regulate the stablecoin issues. And also at the same time, there are 2 more sets of regulatory pieces that we are now consulting the market. One is about the regulation of digital asset custodians, and the other is about digital asset trading. So all in all, what you can see is, on the one hand, we are complying with the global standards for regulation in this sector. At the same time, we are applying a very clear and simple principle, i.e. if there are similar risks being presented in these developments in terms of businesses, we will apply similar regulation similar to conventional finance. And we have been adopting this same approach throughout, and we will continue to do so. And that's why just lately, based on the first policy statement we issued, we have the second policy statement. And the way that we craft it is based on a very key word, is to build a trusted market. Because unless we have a very sound regulatory basis and also a regime, at the same time underpinned by a strong fintech ecosystem, this sector cannot grow sustainably, at the same time cannot grow in a trusted manner. That's why along those dimensions, we put together 4 sets of measures in our second policy statement, which we call LEAP. By that, for L, we means legal and also regulatory streamlining. That's why we highlighted the way that we are going to propose regulation in the custodian space and the trading space, as I just highlighted. At the same time, the government is going to review our existing legislation to see how supportive they are of smart contracts. L, legal aside, we also are looking for E, which is about expansion of product suite. So we clarify in the policy statement that for ETFs trading, even though they are in tokenized form, the same stamp duty waiver will also be applicable. So again, it's one of the ways that we try to grow the product space in this sector. And for A is about advancing use cases. Apart from stablecoins that people nowadays mention, we are also tasking the Cyberport, which is our accelerator in Hong Kong for fintech development, to be the market organizer in such a way that they can put together different Web3 and also blockchain practitioners in Hong Kong and also internationally to develop some concrete projects to work on. So it's about the advancing of use cases. And finally, for P, it's about people and also partnership development. In particular, we want to position Hong Kong as the center of excellence in the sharing of practices in the digital asset space, since we have already come a long way over the past 3 years. At the same time, we're going to put together more regulatory pieces in that regard. So all in all, I would say we are putting together a holistic piece in terms of how we could grow Hong Kong in a trusted market based on our advantages under common law and also a very robust financial infrastructure and also system.
So I wonder, with the growing adoption of digital assets, which sector in Hong Kong's economy do you think will benefit the most?
If you look at the technology per se, I think generally it's about blockchain. And one of the key elements of blockchain is about the possibility of doing away a lot of intermediaries in the process. So it will be highly conducive in terms of reducing some of the frictional costs that you will see in some of the transfer of assets, at the same time reducing the need to go through intermediaries as a result. So based on our experience of issuing 2 tranches of tokenized bonds so far, what we see is that we can manage to reduce the settlement days for such bonds from 5 to 1 day. So in such a way that we are enhancing the capital efficiency in the market and also ensuring a more smoother transfer of assets. And going forward, I would say, in terms of having the blockchain technology being amplified in terms of benefits, I think one angle is to identify areas where how we can make the more illiquid market more liquid. Like, for example, it could be about properties. It could be about areas where right now fractional ownership is not allowed, but maybe we'll be able to allow that with blockchain technology. So all in all, I would say it's about identification of the right use cases in such a way that Hong Kong can be a value creator and also a solution provider in some of these pain points in the real economy.
We know that Hong Kong and mainland China have quite a bit of different approach to digital assets. How do you think Hong Kong is leveraging its gateway role to support China's digital asset initiatives?
As I said, I think what we should see Hong Kong in this regard is really a value creator and a solution provider. And also at the same time, we should cast our sight even further to the rest of the world or even to the region. Like, for example, one of the applications that people normally envisage in the adoption of stable coins is that it can be applied in some of the emerging economies where payment in the form of local currencies may be challenging due to the concern about devaluation or hyperinflation. So in that regard, for these countries where at the same time financial intermediation may have challenges, stablecoin can be a way to deal with some of these pain points in such a way that the local investors or international investors investing locally in this region can use stablecoins in the form of payment to settle some of their investment or some of the payment they need to incur in those countries. So all in all, you can say that in terms of our digital asset application, it's really about use case. At the same time, how we can use in a way that we can deal with the pain points that we see right now in terms of payments and also other applications in such a way that Hong Kong can continuously to be creating value for the rest of the world based on our advantages under common law and also being an international financial center.
With the growing adoption of digital assets, what do you think are the sectors in Hong Kong's economy to benefit the most from?
All in all, if you look at the way that we have grown this market, it's based on a very key word. It's about trust. To make sure this market is trustable or trusted, we need to have a sustainable regulatory regime, at the same time to grow this market sustainably. And that's why, all in all, in terms of regulation that we put together, we have done it in a very practical way and also following the very same principle, as I said, if they present similar risks to similar businesses like in conventional client finance, we apply similar regulation. So we'll continue to do that. At the same time, for this market to grow sustainably, we need to have these regulatory pieces in place. That's why we are now consulting the market on custodians and also trading. And at the same time, along the lines I just mentioned in terms of LEAP, to ensure that we have more use cases and also more product suite in such a way that we can position Hong Kong as really a facilitator in terms of how to ensure that the benefit of these blockchain applications can be more widely shared.
Chris, thank you for your time today. You can learn more about this issue at our website at scmp.com.